Good morning. Today is Thursday, September 12th, 2024. Yesterday was 9/11. Though I chose to discuss a different topic yesterday, the events of 9/11 and their aftermath were foremost on my mind. So today I want to express my deep sorrow at the many lives taken, the families still in anguish, to express gratitude and tremendous inspiration that we feel towards the bravery, the sacrifice of the responders at all levels. And also we mourn the radical and destructive shift in reality that our world suffered on that day. Nothing is the same since 9/11. I want to share with you a remarkable story. I heard this several years ago, and I hope will connect us more deeply to at least one aspect of this. And it's a story from Sarah Tuttle-Singer. I quote her often. She tells the story that a number of years ago she was visiting in New York, and she got into a taxi on the Upper West Side. Taxi driver's name is Dave. He asked where she was going, and she said to Newark Airport. Dave was about 60 years old, white bushy hair. He was wearing a suit and tie. He was sitting up straight, driving carefully. And he was wearing a kippah. So Dave asked her, "Where are you flying?" And Sarah said, "To Israel." She was going home to Israel. So Dave said, "Oh, that's nice. I love Israel. We visit every year. My son is studying now at Hebrew University, and we're even thinking about making Aliyah." She asked him, "How long have you been driving a taxi?" And he said, "Since September 11th, 2002. You know, a year after 9/11. What happened? Dave said, "I was in the North Tower. I'm a lawyer. I was a lawyer. I was late to a meeting because the taxi driver was new and got lost. This was before GPS. The guy barely spoke English. And the plane hit. And I was late, so I was just getting to the building. But I wasn't where I was supposed to be. Being late saved my life." Sarah says, "Oh my God, wow." Dave went on, he said, "It was a catastrophe. The smoke, the ashes, the screaming. It was a crazy day. I remember I was just getting to the door of the tower of the building, and boom, it happened. Then for a second, there was only nothing." Like it was only a second, but it was the whole world. It was as if the whole world got sucked out into this nothingness for that 1 second. And then it was noise and chaos and screaming. "It must have been a nightmare," Sarah said. Dave said it sure was. After a couple of minutes, a cop told me to move back, and I did. And I just walked and walked, trying to find my wife. She was pregnant at the time. Sarah asked, was she okay? She was fine. She was at home, not far from where I picked you up, the Upper West Side. I came home, and I couldn't cope. I just couldn't cope. And she couldn't cope with me. And she lost the baby. It got worse. And I couldn't concentrate. The only thing that calmed me was riding in taxis, because that driver had saved my life by being late. I just felt safe in taxis. So I would finish work as a lawyer and just ride in them. Some guys drank too much to forget, some gambled, some took drugs, some went to prostitutes. I rode in taxis. We all tried to cope. I kept asking myself, why did I survive and so many others didn't? It was all just a matter of minutes, really, one wrong turn. But then my wife said to me, in the middle of a fight we were having, why don't you just quit your job and drive a taxi? And then this warm feeling washed all over me. I knew it was what God wanted me to do. So I left the law firm and became a taxi driver on the first anniversary of 9/11. And he said it was just the right path. That taxi driver saved my life because of a matter of seconds and missing some stupid turn. But I know it was really God watching over us. Maybe I'll be able to do the same for someone else. And Dave looked up towards the roof of his car, towards the sky, and he said, God is in charge, but we are his partners here on earth, and this is what I am meant to do. But God takes the wheel. I want to share something I heard from Rabbi Meilech Biderman. It's pretty ubiquitous by now. Everyone has a cell phone, even in Bnei Brak, even in Yerushalayim. And there are many people that have a unique ringtone on their cell phone, an unusual noise or a song. And when you hear someone's phone ring and you hear their song or their noise, you may be irritated, you may smile, you may be curious, why did they choose this? What are they telling me about themselves? What does it reveal about them? And we wonder about that. The owner of the phone doesn't pay attention to the sound of the ring. The owner of the phone wants to see who is calling. He wants to hear the message someone wants to give him. Rabbi Biderman said, the shofar is exactly the same. Some listen to the shofar, they hear the sounds of the shofar, and they think, he's blowing well, or he's not blowing so well. The sounds are strong, the sounds are not so strong. Will he be able to get them all out? Or will someone else have to take over? Maybe something's wrong with the shofar, maybe something's wrong with him. The other guy's better, the other guy's worse. It's what a lot of us think about when we hear the shofar. But a thoughtful person will not pay attention to any of that, but rather to the message. What is the shofar telling me? And we've discussed this before Rosh Hashanah, during the month of Elul, when we blow the shofar every morning. The message of the shofar, as expressed by the Rambam, is the phrase, Ur yeshene mishinaskem, wake up, sleeping people, from your slumber. Get ready, Rosh Hashanah is coming. There's work to do. On Rosh Hashanah, when we blow shofar, we've discussed how the blowing of the shofar is a prayer in sound, that the expression of God's mercy and compassion expressed by the tkiya sound should overwhelm, overpower the expression of the trua sound, which is the sound of God's justice. And we're asking God that God's mercy should overcome God's justice. And we've also discussed before the way in which blowing the shofar on Rosh Hashanah is one of the ways in which we are mamlich HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We proclaim God as a king. The shofar is the sound of the coronet that announces the arrival of the king. We blow the shofar to say, Hinei Yom Hadin. Melech HaYoshev al Kisei Rachamim. God is sitting on the throne of mercy. The day of judgment has arrived. Pay attention to the message, not the tune. And Rabbi Shlomo Wolbe adds, the message of the shofar, in all of those different meanings, is accompanied by the greatest joy. Rosh Shlomo Wolbe says, what day of the year has the greatest joy? What day in your life has the greatest joy? Well, we answer that every Friday night. When we say Kabbalat Shabbat, we say the paragraph Tehillim, Psalm 96, Tzadi Vav, famous words, Yismechu hashemayim v'sagel haaretz. The heavens rejoice, the earth is glad, Yiram hayamum lo. The sea will roar in joy, and all that is in it. Yalos sadai v'chol asher bo. The fields will be jubilant, and all they contain. Az yiranenu kol atzei yar. And then the trees of the forest will sing for joy, lifnei Hashem, before God. Kiva lishpot haaretz, because God is coming to judge the earth. Yishpot tevel b'tzedek, he will judge the world with justice. Ve'amim be'emunaso, and he will judge people with faithfulness. That's Rosh Hashanah. That is a description of Rosh Hashanah. The day of Yom Hadin, the day that God comes to judge the world, the day that we appreciate God as a melech, that is the most joyous, happiest day of the world. The trees are singing with joy. The oceans are singing with joy. Everything is singing with joy. It's the greatest day of the year. The month of Elul in which we find ourselves is the anticipation of that great joy and our preparation for it. How are we going to be able to experience it? Well, we have to prepare. How do we prepare for the most important, joyous day of the year that's coming? There's a lot to do. And Rosh Hashanah is when it happens. The greatest day. The greatest joy. And so we need to remember, pay attention to the message. It's the message that's important. It's the message that will propel us forward to that day of joy. My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.